It was almost midnight. The streets of New York were slick with rain, glistening under flickering streetlights. Thunder rumbled in the distance, and the city, usually alive with noise, felt strangely quiet, as if holding its breath. Inside a yellow taxi, Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett stared out the fogged-up window. Drops of rain rolled down the glass like falling tears. Her phone buzzed again. She glanced down. Message from Rachel Maddow. Meet me in Brooklyn. No press, no staff, just you. It's urgent. Jasmine's eyebrows pulled together. Rachel Maddow wasn't someone who used words like urgent lightly, and never without reason. The car slowed in front of a nearly invisible coffee shop tucked between two shuttered buildings. The sign above was faded, and only one light was on inside. No cameras, no reporters, no security. Jasmine stepped out into the rain, pulled her coat tighter, and entered. At the very back of the room, under a dim lamp, sat Rachel Maddow, her usual calm, polished presence replaced with tension. She looked tired, worn. Her fingers gripped a coffee cup not for warmth, but like she was holding on for strength. Jasmine sat down without a word. Rachel reached into her coat pocket and slid a silver USB drive across the table. It stopped just in front of Jasmine's hand. This, Rachel said quietly, could get us both killed. Jasmine didn't touch it. Not yet. What is it? Evidence, Rachel whispered. Hundreds of documents, videos, phone calls, all from inside one of the biggest private prison companies in America. She paused. They're running illegal programs, solitary confinement for mentally ill teenagers, withholding medicine, beatings, cover-ups. They're making billions while people are dying in silence. Jasmine finally picked up the drive. It felt small, almost too light, but somehow her hand trembled. Why are you showing this to me? Rachel leaned in. Because I need someone the public trusts, someone who can't be bought, someone bold enough to stand next to me when the bullets, literal or not, start flying. There was silence, only the hum of the refrigerator behind the counter, the click of a ceiling fan, and Jasmine's heartbeat growing louder in her ears. They'll come for us, she said softly. Rachel nodded. They already have. Last week, I found a note slipped under my door. Stop asking questions. This morning, the whistleblower who leaked these files, a former prison guard, was found dead. Suicide. Or at least, that's what they're calling it. Jasmine's jaw clenched, her mind raced. This wasn't just politics anymore. This was war. We can't stay silent. Rachel reached for her bag and pulled out a map. We won't, but we won't do it from a newsroom. We'll broadcast everything from a hidden truck, mobile, encrypted, live, no editing, no delay. Jasmine looked up. A rolling truth bomb. Rachel smiled, just slightly. Exactly. Just then, headlights flashed through the coffee shop window. A black SUV idled across the street, tinted windows, engine running. Neither woman moved, but they both saw it. Jasmine stood. Her voice was calm, but her eyes were sharp as steel. Let them watch. We're not hiding. We're just getting started. She slipped the USB into her coat and turned toward the door. As she stepped into the rain, thunder cracked overhead. Louder this time, closer. Behind her, Rachel whispered to herself. God help us. We're about to bring down an empire. 2 days later, a white utility truck drove through the empty back roads of Pennsylvania, far from cameras, far from the city. From the outside, it looked like a delivery van. But inside, it was something else. A hidden studio, powered by satellite links, noise blockers, and fear. Jasmine Crockett sat in the passenger seat, headset on, her eyes focused on the screen in front of her. Rachel Maddow sat across from her, tapping nervously on the table, reviewing notes. The USB drive sat between them like a loaded gun. We go live in 60 seconds, Rachel said. Her voice was steady, her hands were not. The truck wasn't just a studio, it was their bunker. Parked behind an abandoned barn, hidden by trees, guarded only by a single off-duty FBI friend who believed in what they were doing and who refused to let them go alone. The countdown began. No newsroom, no producers, no safety net. Only two women, one story, and the eyes of a nation about to witness the truth. This is Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, and I'm journalist Rachel Maddow. They looked into the camera together. Tonight, we're broadcasting from a secure, undisclosed location. Why? Because what you're about to see, and they don't want you to know, and one man has already died for it. The screen faded to black. Then, the footage began. Inside the truck, the air grew colder as the leaked videos played one by one. A boy, barely 14, screaming in solitary confinement, blood on his hands. A nurse begging supervisors to send insulin to a diabetic prisoner. No one responds. A hidden camera showing guards laughing as they locked a mentally ill inmate in a pitch-black room for 3 days. Jasmine covered her mouth. Rachel wiped a tear. Then came the voice recordings. If the senator calls, tell him we're handling it. Just move the kid to Arizona. No press there. If that woman from MSNBC keeps asking questions, we'll deal with her. The broadcast lasted exactly 22 minutes. No flashy graphics, no music, just raw, horrifying truth. And when it ended, Rachel looked directly into the camera. To the people who think they're too powerful to face justice, we see you. And now, so does the country. Jasmine followed. This isn't the end. This is just the beginning. To those behind bars and to the families suffering in silence, we're with you. Then they cut the feed. Silence filled the truck. Outside, the wind howled, leaves scattered, and in that moment, nothing happened. No phone calls, no cars pulling up. Just stillness. Think it worked? Jasmine asked. Rachel smiled faintly. It's out there. We can't stop it now. But then, a sound, a soft buzz. One phone, then another. Dozens of missed calls, texts, news alerts lighting up at once. They weren't alone anymore. Across the country, the story exploded. The live stream was reshared by celebrities, journalists, activists. Politicians were being called. CEOs were canceling meetings. Protests were already forming outside prison headquarters. And somewhere, in a high-rise office, powerful men were yelling at each other behind glass doors. The empire had been warned. Jasmine and Rachel sat quietly, watching the world react in real time. You still scared? Rachel asked. Jasmine gave a small nod. Then she smiled. Yeah, but this fear? It feels like courage. It was early. The sun hadn't fully risen yet, and Washington, D.C. was still quiet. The streets were washed in a soft gray light, the kind that made everything feel slower, heavier. Jasmine was just waking up when her phone buzzed. She expected news coverage, maybe calls from her team. But this call was different. She heard the voice of a young reporter shaking. Ma'am, it's about John Delancey. He's gone. The words didn't make sense at first. Her mind froze. She didn't say anything. Her hand tightened around the phone. At the exact same time in another part of the city, Rachel Maddow sat alone with her coffee. She had barely slept. She was replaying last night's broadcast in her head, frame by frame. Her phone buzzed too. Same news, same silence. 3 hours later, they sat side by side in Jasmine's office, both still in yesterday's clothes, both staring at a plain manila envelope delivered by a local police officer. It had one thing inside, a handwritten letter. No return address, no extra note, just the words of a man who had already made his choice. Rachel opened the letter carefully. Jasmine watched, holding her breath. The paper was lined, the penning slightly faded. His handwriting was neat, too neat, like he rewrote it again and again before it felt right. To Jasmine, Rachel, and anyone brave enough to keep reading, you don't know me the way my wife did, or my kids. You only know the worst parts. What I saw, what I stayed silent about. I worked at Grey Rock Private Correctional Facility from 2001 to 2019. I saw young black men get sent there for petty crimes, stay for years and leave broken, if they left at all. We were told not to ask questions, told that broken bones were discipline, that no visitation was security. We were told to smile when inspectors came and to shut up when they left. I kept my mouth shut because I had 2 kids and no savings. But Jasmine, Rachel, after watching you both fight, I knew I had to do something. The letter went on. He described nights when he couldn't sleep, the face of one inmate who begged for asthma medicine and was ignored, the way food deliveries were cut short, and how guards were rewarded for keeping it quiet. Then the final lines hit like thunder. You now have the files. You have my voice. Even if I'm not here tomorrow, promise me this. Don't let them win. Don't let my silence be louder than my truth. Rachel placed the letter down slowly, her face pale. Jasmine blinked hard, trying to hold it in, but a single tear rolled down her cheek. Silence hung heavy between them. Then Jasmine stood, walked to the window. Below, outside her office, a crowd had started to form, people holding signs. Some had just seen the broadcast. Others had read the news online about John's death. One woman held a cardboard sign that read, "We believe John." Another had 3 words painted in red, "Truth over fear." Rachel joined her at the window. "He didn't die in vain," she said softly. "No," Jasmine whispered. "He gave us the fire. Now we burn it all down. The lies, the silence, the system." At noon, they stood on the steps of the Capitol. Reporters waited. The world watched. Jasmine stepped forward, holding the letter in one hand. "John Delancey didn't just give us files. He gave us something more powerful, his faith, in truth, in justice, in us. Tonight we go deeper. Tonight we say the names of the companies who profit off human pain. We show you the contracts, the photos, the lies. We're not stopping, and we're not afraid." That night, the broadcast didn't begin in a studio. There were no polished desks, no branded mugs, no city skyline in the background. Instead, the screen lit up with the inside of a plain, dimly lit van. Black walls, a buzzing generator. Jasmine sat on one side, Rachel on the other. Between them, a thick binder of documents sat like a bomb waiting to go off. Rachel looked directly into the camera. "Tonight, for our safety and yours, we're broadcasting from a mobile location, because what we're about to show you, people have tried very hard to hide." Jasmine nodded. Her voice was steady but fierce. "You've heard the stories, you've seen the letter. Now it's time to show you the system." The screen cut to images. First, company logos: Grey Rock Corrections, Nexus Justice Solutions, Patriot Safe Holdings. They sounded harmless, almost noble. But then came the contracts, massive documents signed by state officials. Buried inside were clauses no one was supposed to read. Bonuses for keeping prisons above 90% capacity, penalties if inmates were released early, incentives for limiting educational or rehab programs. Jasmine's voice grew sharper. "Let that sink in. These companies don't make money when people heal. They make money when people suffer, when they stay behind bars, when they leave broken." Then came the maps. Red dots across the country. Over 200 private prisons tied to just 3 companies. The same 3 that had donated millions to political campaigns. Rachel pulled up a donation log. $250,000 to a senator from Texas. $300,000 to a governor in Florida. Dozens of consulting payments to local officials, all marked as community engagement. Jasmine leaned forward. "They called it justice, but it's just business." Then came the final blow. A hidden camera video, grainy, black and white. It showed a Grey Rock executive at a private dinner, laughing with lobbyists. "Reform? Please. You think we built all this just to let people out?" The air went cold. Silence hung before Rachel spoke again. "That was 6 months ago. The man in that video is now a senior advisor to a federal task force on prison reform." Suddenly, the screen cut back to the van. Jasmine stared into the lens. Her voice was softer now, but it shook with truth. "You asked why John Delancey came forward. This is why. Because behind every locked door, every silenced voice, there's a trail, a contract, a face. He gave his truth. Now we give ours." They closed the show with one final promise. "We will keep going, and we're not the only ones. Across the country, more whistleblowers are coming forward. The silence is breaking. As the screen faded to black, something rare happened. There was no commercial break, no applause, just a stillness, a heaviness. And then it happened. Phones buzzed, messages spread, hashtags trended. But this time, it wasn't a scandal. It was a reckoning. Emails poured in from prison guards, ex-inmates, family members of incarcerated people, people who had been too afraid to speak. Now they were ready. I worked at Grey Rock. Everything you said is true. My brother died in one of their facilities. I've been waiting to tell someone. Please help. They're still doing it. Rachel and Jasmine sat back in the van, eyes wide, phones lighting up with every second. We've just opened a door, Rachel whispered, and now we can't close it. Jasmine took a breath. Then we walked through it, together. The next morning, America wasn't the same. Headlines screamed across every platform. Private prisons exposed. The suicide that shocked the system, and Crockett and Maddow, the broadcast that broke the silence. The entire country was buzzing with one question: how did we not see this before? Social media erupted like a volcano. TikTok flooded with stitched reactions. Teens, veterans, mothers, ex-inmates, all shared what the story meant to them. One viral comment said it best. They weren't just reporting news. They were risking their lives to tell the truth. Clips from the broadcast, especially the moment Rachel's voice cracked when reading the warden's last note, became emotional lightning rods. Jasmine's quiet fury, Rachel's fierce composure, the dim lights of the secret truck. It all felt like a film, but it was painfully, shockingly real. The suicide of the former prison guard had hit everyone like a thunderclap. His note, brief, handwritten, and stained with coffee, said more than any headline ever could. He admitted to being part of a cover-up. He confessed to watching men being punished without trial, to silent agreements made behind locked doors. But he also said something else. To the ladies on TV, thank you for telling the truth, for not being scared. Maybe now someone will listen. The words echoed across the nation. Politicians scrambled to respond. Some called emergency hearings. Others issued vague statements about accountability. But no one could silence what had been unleashed. Protests erupted within hours. A student-led march filled the streets of Chicago with candles. In Houston, ex-prisoners gathered with signs reading, "We were never numbers," and "Tell their names." Jasmine's face was painted on murals. Rachel's quote, "We go live because they hide," was graffitied on courthouse walls. News anchors debated. Pundits spun. But no one could dismiss the truth anymore. The broadcast had shattered the illusion of safety around private prisons. Now even people who never thought twice about prison systems were suddenly asking, who profits when people are locked up? That night, Jasmine sat on her apartment floor, shoes kicked off, hair messy, phone buzzing nonstop. She didn't look at the news. She didn't check her mentions. She looked out the window. City lights blinked below. Somewhere far away, someone else was watching the same sky. Maybe a mother with a son inside. Maybe a man just released wondering what comes next. Rachel called. Neither of them spoke for a long moment. Then Jasmine said softly, "He died telling the truth." Rachel's voice trembled. "Now it's our job to make sure they all hear it." And they did. Within a week, the Justice Department announced a formal investigation into private prison contractors. Whistleblowers began to step forward. Lawsuits were filed. Governors issued public statements. And across the country, something had shifted. People weren't just angry, they were awake. The reckoning had begun. If you found this story captivating, don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more intense investigations, surprising alliances, and stories that challenge the status quo. Stay tuned for the next shocking reveal. Hit that bell icon so you never miss out. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next episode.